break it off.
Or you're riding and stringing off your bars
trying
like
to tie a
spaghetti or
knot
something
in
like
it.
that. I was thinking about that when I was I moved the jerseys around and I hung up the jerseys kind of as a video backdrop and putting them all up in order and stuff like that. And the second one is crisis in the shower today. I'm just like going, oh my God, it's been too long.
No.
Oh, it's just sad. I wish things were as cool as... No, they were cool back then. You see a blue Jeton back in the day, and that's just a rolling work of art. So, am I stealing your segment?
Well, it's kind of directs that way.
Okay.
No. It's a early segue.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Preview of coming attractions. All right, we're rolling. Before we begin, sponsor mentions some of our great supporters. Untapped Maple is as good as it sounds. The finest nectar from Vermont at its core. Clean energy as the result. Don't go thinking this is stuff you put on pancakes. This is so much more. Easily digestible, quick to down, along with brilliant flavor options to choose from. Use the link at packfiller.com to get started with Untapped Maple. And wahoo! Have you heard you can now control both your music and your GoPro camera via your Wahoo computer? I have not tried my GoPros yet, and I'm worried that my GoPros are too old. So we'll have to see if that's the case. I don't know.
You can also do your bike lights.
No shit. Really? The folks at Wahoo continue to innovate, not to mention the expansion of the wrist-based technology we talked about last week with Jackson's wearing as I speak that rivals the best in sports watches for best pricing you can find. Big thanks to Wahoo. And NordVPN, the time is coming. Can you hear it? It's on the horizon. Catch all the races without surfing the dark web. Whatever back alley method you've been using, secure your online network without breaking the bank. NordVPN is the solution for all your online activities. You can imagine a Tour de France without the commentators talking down to you because they have to explain it and dumb it down. For an American audience. That's not picking on anybody directly, is it? What do you think, Christian?
I'm sure they're told you gotta help.
They gotta.
Yeah,
they have to. And so there we go. Let's go play bikes. We're just 11 days away from the start of the Tour de France. 11 days. For those who are counting. And also for those counting, welcome to the 435th episode of the Packfiller Cycling Podcast. We are live at packfiller.com as well as our YouTube channel. Beverages of choice are poured with 3 flavors to choose from, the courtesy of our friends at Benedito's Pizza. New deck expansion on their South Hill location. This is the time to visit for some great food and beverages. And by the way, when you go there, if you order like the Kolsch, which Paul's having right now, just say, hey, the Packfiller guys told me to order a Kolsch.
There you go.
Let's see if that works.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. See if that works. Just say, hey, Packfiller says to order that.
And they'll go, huh?
I'm having the Citra Burst IPA, and one of my favorites. So let's see with who is here with tonight's prologue. Gentlemen, what is something that everybody appears to like that absolutely disgusts you? I don't know if that's a repeat question, but I've been thinking about it a lot. So there we go. We got enough time? It's a small group, so I didn't want to take too much time. Paul's thinking about it.
Yeah. I'll have to direct. There's such a wide thing in the world.
There's so many things that disgust you.
Yeah. I got it.
Okay, first off, he's the only guy eligible for AARP that gets accused of sandbagging in a race full of guys around or under the age of 30. Mr. Palme. I can't believe it's like...
I don't know who said it, but somebody...
Hey, man, this isn't fair. Paul's sandbagging. It's like, you're 61.
I know. I know it. I wake up in the morning, my testicles hit the floor. Scares my wife. The dog jumps out of bed.
What the... Oh, sorry. Tuck him in. I just... Oh, this sound! Okay. So, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Except I wanted to ride today.
Yeah.
But then, just to make matters worse, briefly, what happened was that you and I planned on.
We did.
Instead of pointing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Audio.
Planned on because I have my RDO, which is my rotating day off, and then it's Juneteenth, and that's when the whole city takes that day off. So I have 2 days to ride back to back, and I was excited, looking forward to it. And then my boss says, "Is there any way you can come in on your RDO? It's all overtime."
Oh, well.
So that's a good thing.
I have a money one, do I? Yeah. That's too late.
So I'm thinking,
sound.
because we had one guy on vacation, another guy is sick, and he usually covers when it's down low, our lead guy.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of like office work to do, so he's behind. So anyway, if I was gone, then it would have been chaos. So anyway,
mass hysteria.
And
Dogs
then,
and cats living together.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then I'm driving my car, and I look, and I'm like, who is got that, like, the bike? It just stands out. It's just like
It hurts.
It was Trump-colored skin, orange, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's the black training kit of our team.
Arrivee Packfiller.
Yeah. And since Sam's not here, I'm going to say it looked real slimming on you. So we come to a 4-way stop, and I rolled down my window, and I said, "Right on the sidewalk," and you totally ignored me.
Oh, you caught me. Oh, I didn't hear the right on the... No.
I said right on the sidewalk, and then we both took off, and you took off first, and then I followed
didn't hear
you,
that one.
And then I shouted again, "Right on the sidewalk, you jerk." And then you looked over and saw me.
Oh, I didn't hear you the first time. I had my bone cones on, so I hear what I hear is but then you came alongside me and I heard it and I looked down and I see the city seal on your car door and I'm like, who the fuck? Oh, it's Paul. Because I was all prepared, you know.
Yeah.
Going,
And it was a bike lane.
Yeah, I was in a bike lane. Yeah. But I saw it.
Yeah, so that's. But we have tomorrow.
We do. We
We're
do
supposed to
indeed.
be splendid weather.
Yes. And I've got a race tomorrow night, so I'm going to double up.
Oh.
No, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, I hope that I'm exhausted race tomorrow night because that'll just be a way of just going, take it. Get faster. This is how you get faster.
Well, my plan was we'd do hill intervals at Eagle Ridge and White Road and stuff. I'm just kidding. No.
Why not?
We don't need to do that now. It's just crits and TTs for us. But
what's something that everybody likes that you are disgusted by?
American Hollywood movies nowadays.
Really?
They're just absolutely stupid.
Is it the Marvel movies or is it
that's
just...
part throwing in the whole thing.
Really?
And you know, my wife and I always try and give, because you hear a lot of friends tell you, "Oh no, you'll like this one," and it's like. Because I don't know, maybe I'm just in the wrong genre. I like independent films, but sometimes even those just want to get dark for the sake of dark. You know, you're like, what the heck? You know?
Like why am I depressed?
Yeah,
for no reason.
Yeah.
And just I can do that watching a Swedish Finnish or Norwegian film. Those things, and Danish too. No wonder they can't write in the dark. They just think miserable thoughts.
The darkness settles in to my soul.
So we watched what's his name, Cumberbatch, Benedict
Cumberbatch. Yeah,
absolute great actor, and he was in this.
Is that the one where he's an alcoholic or something?
Yeah. He's just a messed up, and he's a puppeteer and a kid show, and his kid, and that whole series. We binge watched it because it's like it's got to get better. He did a very good job, but oh man, the dialogue in American movies are just like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't understand the hype.
So you obviously don't watch network TV then either,
no,
because network TV is garbage.
I haven't watched probably since Seinfeld went off the air.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I tried watching other things. No,
I have been slowly catching up on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's.
Which
really
is so sophomoric that it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It's so brilliantly stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is a show I could get into.
Have you ever watched Flight of the Condors?
Concords. Yes, love that show. That's a great show. Yeah. But see, we're all talking about HBO and all these other networks. And it's not that 2, 4, and 6 where it's like CSI insert city name here or shit like that. And you listen to the dialogue. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but you listen to the dialogue and it's just like going, I would read the script in a read through and just go, are you kidding me? This is horrible.
I said that last week, the exact same line. You know,
I will not let him die.
And the
not
thing
on
is-
my watch, or something stupid like that. It's like,
the characters they don't have a single flaw in their body.
Yeah.
Everybody else is stupid. All the cops are dumb.
Yeah.
You know, the CSI stuff. They're like, they always raise a brow. I think it's the Johnson valve that did that. You know, it's like, what? And they walk away in slow motion, and they're always in a chevron pattern.
Yeah.
As things explode in the
Slow
background. It's
motion.
like, how many times and how many movies do we see that?
Tarantino did that as a joke.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
So-
I'm done.
oh my God. Next off, he's willingly going to sleep in his car this weekend. Mr. Jackson Bulger.
Yes. This weekend, my wife and I are going to go car camping. We bought a mattress that fits our car and everything, so it's actually going to be like very comfortable.
Was that a custom order, or do they?
No,
they
you
just
know,
come?
you just like I have a 2013
This is
Subaru Outback.
Subaru. I mean,
of course, you're gonna
everything
find that,
for
yeah.
Subaru in the Northwest.
I just typed it into Google and it brought me to Amazon, and there, I'm not joking, are like options and options and options that you can scroll through. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I think it's the way to do
probably
it.
could order some with have little pockets so you can put your stash in it.
Put your weed in it.
Yeah, can zip open the entire air mattress and just fill it with that.
Yeah.
It's
Makes me think
I'm
of how
sleeping so well.
Yeah.
It's like one of those whiskey glasses where it just pushes the smoke into the.
Well, I
into the
was
drink.
gonna say, you know how sometimes when people get a flat and they have to fill it with like grass
Yeah.
because they're tubeless,
Mhm.
it's gonna be exactly like that.
Yeah.
Just fill it with all of that very, very precious air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Precious.
yeah.
Jackson, what's something that disgusts you that everybody loves?
You know, I don't really say that often, but I think that they had a big craze early in like 2019, 2020. It's the hard seltzers. I used to like them because they were sweet when I was younger, but the second that they start to get a little warm, it's super gross.
I fell for it for a short amount of time. I had a couple.
So did I.
Yeah.
I used to like it, yeah.
Because they're high in alcohol.
Yeah. Oh God.
Some of them are. Yeah.
You guys were telling me the other night they're like over 7 or.
Well, that was a cider.
But some of the seltzers are.
Yeah, there
higher
are
than
some that you can get like that are called surged, and they're like 8%, 9%.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's not even
intense.
touching a Belgian quad beer.
Yeah, well,
Somewhere amongst going, bring it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hold
what is
my
it,
beer.
water?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So the seltzer craze.
Yeah, it didn't stick with me very well. I feel like I had to go elsewhere.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, and this is just ignorance on my part, that I want to give you the fact that, like, for example, tonight you're drinking a Coors Light. And I'm like, oh my God, no, Coors Light, yeah, gross. And then I try to actually peel back the layers of bullshit in my brain and go back to when I was 25 and realize that I think I drank the same shit.
Yeah.
And it's just my attempt at empathy. I don't know if it's going to work. We'll see. It's an experiment.
I attempt. It depends on the day and the time and if I'm in the mood. But I every once in a while will go for something else out there. I tried. I think it was a Brick West Pilsner a couple of weeks ago that I really liked.
That's a good one.
So I try everything. It just
I
definitely like the big Belgians are hard for me to drink because those are such a different flavor.
Oh
the
my
IPAs
God,
are really hard for me. My wife likes the IPAs a lot, but I just can't get that used to that flavor yet.
It's that classic acquired taste thing, you know, which is not bullshit because it is true. I mean, when I first started, I thought I was drinking kind of high end beer when I was drinking Fat Tire Ale. And I thought, I was like, oh, this is good. And then I remember trying some IPAs, and I jokingly always said that they taste like earwax. How do you know what an earwax tastes like? I don't know. But,
Here.
yeah.
Second.
Yeah, exactly. Give me a second. So it's just, why, just why rush into it? Why force it? Me, I apparently swear too much still. I'm getting that feedback. I'm Pat Bulger, and you are not going to change me. and my thing that still disgusts me to this day, and Jackson would know immediately what I'm going to say, are mushrooms. Mushrooms disgust me. I was a good person this Christmas, and I made a beef Wellington. Speaking of which, Gordon Ramsay, I hope you're feeling okay. Did you guys see the video, Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah, Big bruise.
He had a cycling accident this past weekend, and he went online and talked about the fact that helmets are crucial and helmets are critical and helmets are brilliant, and they saved his life. And you see a picture of his Specialized helmet, and it's destroyed. And then he pulls up his shirt, and his entire torso on his right side is black and blue. Just
crazy.
Oh my God, it looks like it hurt.
What did you say he did?
I don't know
was it a mountain bike?
No, it was on the road.
Yeah. But he's a triathlete and stuff like that.
No.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I did hear another podcast that actually made a good joke, and I'm gonna use their joke when they said he pulled up his shirt and his skin looked raw. It's raw. So I made a Wellington with the mushroom paste on it and stuff like that, and it just reminded me how much mushrooms is just eat dirt.
I like
just
that.
call it good. Really? Mm-hmm. God, I hate them.
Well, you'll never have to spend an unbelievable amount of money on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The higher they get, they're really expensive.
Mm-hmm. And what do the expensive ones taste like? More dirt?
No, the texture has some of the factor too.
See, that's my problem.
Have you ever had Portobello? They're not much flavor for me. I don't think.
Really?
It's just big, huge.
Yeah, but you're biting into it's like
the texture is what you have a problem with.
And flavor. I mean, everything across the board.
Good
they're the
mushrooms.
devil's weed.
Oh man,
they are horrible.
I love them.
All right. Well, as some of you might see or even hear, we're a few Waples short of a Waffle House. But that just means you'll be able to hear more of the intro. You will be able to converse amongst each other, and we might have some more beer than usual, especially if we have to keep hitting the quota, because David's not here. That's right. No Sam or David. So apparently people think the show is overall nicer. And I do want to address something. There were grumblings that I was being picked on by Sam last week, and that was absolutely 100% true, but I want to address that. This show is about characters in cycling. If you've ever been on a ride with your so-called friends, you know what I'm talking about here. You intentionally put the hurt to your friends. You laugh about being punished by your friends. You quite frankly ball bust your friends, and that is what we do here. If Sam is making fun of me, it's the fact that if he was making fun of the fact that I was slowest in the bunch if that was to actually hurt me, I might need to find another group to go ride with. And then some of the fast cyclists in the area. I'm this. Yeah. So anyway, I hope everybody on the show, as well as the listeners, know that this group is a studio. In this studio is a great group of friends, and in some cases, family. Obviously, family. Genetically, family. Yeah. Think of this as a ride, family gathering that actually enjoys the humor at each other's expense, and I hope you, the listener, also get that joke. So we will bust occasional balls here on the Packfiller, and I hope it never stops. With that being said, there, I got that out of the way. I want, it just. No, Sam did not hurt my feelings. I'm not.
Did I today? Seeing black look slim?
No, that was funny. See, okay. I appreciate humor because it is slimming. Yes. I was melting because it was quite warm.
Why did you cuff your sleeves?
I didn't.
Oh, I thought I saw.
That was just the green cuff. Well, it might have been my flesh underneath.
Oh, that's
which is
right. It's just
incredibly white.
Yeah.
No, I wear that jersey when it's around 50, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
If it gets above 55, I start to get a little warm, and I got a little warm today because I did intervals today. Nice. Speaking of which, how's everybody's cycling life been this past 7 days?
Good. This past 7 days. I didn't ride on Friday of last week, and that was it. I have ridden since Friday. I rode on Saturday inside because we've had really bad weather.
Freakishly bad weather here. Yeah.
I rode inside on Saturday. We did 50 miles on Sunday, and that was good. When we sprinted, I did a lot more power than I thought I actually did. Yeah, we sprinted for a city limit sign, and I hit 13:40 or something like that.
Do you know which one it was? Was it?
I think it was
Freeman.
Yeah, I think it was Freeman.
The second one
when we all went for that one. Okay. Yeah. So I did bigger numbers on that day than I really thought I was doing, which I guess shows that I'm in pretty good form right now. Mm-hmm. And then yesterday I rode inside because it was super bad, and I did the same today. So I'm excited to be back outside now, because the indoor trainer I will use it when I have to, but that is the limits of my want to use it. I'm getting tired of having to use it a lot.
I haven't been on it, and I haven't done weights, and I haven't done any of those strength training things. I stopped, anyway. Paul, how's your cycling life?
Well, Thursday would have been great, but I had my class for work.
Yeah.
So I've donated 2 weeks in a row $30 to Badlands, but they deserve it. They put it on. I'm not sure about that.
I could hear you. I could hear your suffering in the text stream on Thursday.
I'm watching the clock, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got paid an hour of overtime.
Oh.
So there's a bonus there, so I made my money back.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Would you, man, you had the little ones, the grandkids coming, you had all that stuff.
I had grandkids and a grandnephew wanted to see the last race that's in this area. My grandkids, my grandsons were at RC3 Crit, and they absolutely loved it. And that's, one of those things that I got to have, even if they don't race, just to see that and know all about it. Because it's foreign. I mean, it's foreign to kids that are, my oldest grandson is 9, and the youngest one is 6, soon to be 7 in August. So, those are the things you want to add fuel to the fire a little bit. So.
Yeah.
But they were planned on going, and I'm calling everybody. I left deep in the valley, and I still had to pick up my bike and my gear and get the gear on.
And that was like,
and was only 20 minutes to 6. I was like hoping to the last minute. It's like, so I just called my daughter and said, let's meet at Benedito. So I'm going to drown myself in beer. So I did. But we rode.
Not alternative per se, but yeah.
Saturday. How did I miss the ride Saturday?
There was no ride on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think I rode.
We
myself.
All bailed on Saturday because it was like
it's
threatening
supposed to be
rain
bad
all
weather.
day.
Yeah.
And it was windy as shit.
Yeah.
It was really windy.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to rain when we were going to go out.
Yeah.
And we had obligations, my wife and I, at 3. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I thought Sunday's ride was kind of fun. Another group met at the same place, and we rolled out, and it was nice to see other people.
Some new
there.
friends.
Some new faces. Played differently.
We do play differently.
Yeah, we do play differently.
And
we
I don't
play
mean
a little like racy is not it's not the word that I want to use, but we race each other more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? See, because it was this group of people we rode with, it tended to feel more surge oriented and things like that, and I felt that was a little bit more racy.
Well, that group has a tendency to chase Strava segments, so that's probably why it didn't. We don't really do that, but I mean, we'll start chopping. We sprint for every, entering sign.
Yeah.
So, and they don't play that. It didn't look like, or if they did, they were way behind us.
Yeah.
They suck. Yeah.
So.
It's such an interesting dynamic when you go ride with people who aren't in your normal group, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Yeah, absolutely not.
I had some good conversations.
Yeah.
Greg, that I hadn't seen probably in three or 4 years, and we rolled in. Rolling into town, we were talking about. He's really enjoyed cycling when he got into it. It was all trainer road, he was like, I was wiped out every day because I kept thinking I got to do this to get better and better and better. And he says, now I just go out, ride 2-3 hours, and I enjoy it. I just don't have an agenda. And that's what it's all about. So,
yeah.
Sometimes people get a kick out of trainer road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam does.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. No. Like, they're idiots.
Yeah.
I have had a couple ass kickings on bike rides, and I'm trying to figure out how you guys all went up 2 steps and I'm staying back below, and I've got to work on that. And so like today I went on an interval ride intentionally because it's like the jump has been huge. I mean, I thought I was kind of keeping myself within distance, and I'm not gonna lie, the last 2 group rides for me have been demoralizing as hell. But not in like I quit, I'm gonna throw this bike into the dumpster, but they were, and I don't think it's a mental issue in some cases, because there are times when I'm pushing what I can, and it just isn't working. And I'm wondering, and I probably need to talk to somebody who's far more knowledgeable in these things, but my max heart rate is not. It has changed, obviously, over the last year and a half because of all the shit I've been doing to it.
NH.
Yeah, NH. And so I'm having to retune my engine to figure out how to do the best that I can at a 160 heart rate instead of relying on the fact that I can go a lot higher. So I have to retune my engine here a little bit. So I'm gonna work on that and see what's going on. Because we'll get to points on we'll get to points even on the flats where somebody will put down a solid tempo, and I immediately spike my heart rate and then I can't recover it. So I mean it's training, I'm sure, but it's out of nowhere. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to do.
Keep trying.
Power to weight ratio is something I'm also working on too. I figure if I'm 10 pounds lighter, everything's lighter, and you go faster when you're 10 pounds lighter. So
especially going uphill.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I started about 10 days ago, and I'm down 2.5 pounds. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Three of us.
Want another beer?
I will. Tuesdays I drink. It's my cheat day. Any day that ends in a Y is my cheat day. The three of us have found an event to put on the calendar. We're going to be heading to the event Everett Performance Omnium.
Yes.
And I was told that I need to lighten up and laugh at the fact that the name stands for EPO. Mm-hmm. And I get it. It's a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing like that here at the end of the month. What do you guys pay attention to data, and you guys pay attention to registrations. You guys probably know the courses. What do we know so far that an average listener who lives nowhere near us might be intrigued in?
District championships for Criterium are on the line.
Which you're not going to do, technically.
Technically, but I think whoever wins that race gets the jersey. So I'm gonna take it. If I win, and it's
for 2-3, the 2-3 race.
2-3 is for 2s, but the 3s-4s is for the 3s. So then I have a conundrum here because I registered as the 2s-3s course because I wanted a challenge.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just think I'm more at that level. And so if I win, I'm just gonna go to the top of the podium.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't know. I'm not really that worried about it, to be honest with you. I'm still going to race the same way I would if it wasn't for me. So I think in my category, though, have 9 in the 2s, 3s. But we have some teams. We have, I think we have a Mercedes-Benz team, which is a strong team. And then I don't know the other team very well. But yeah, so I'll have to spot who's the one that's not working for each team and probably follow that, because I estimate, I don't have to work. Technically, I know that what my qualities are, and I know what I'm going to ride for, so I have to just kind of follow their lead.
And it's going to be a different dynamic because, it's just each community has its own racing community.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a different thing because you don't know who's flying over there or who's flying somewhere else and stuff like that. So, Paul, what have you heard?
I heard from a couple of guys that came over here from RC3. There's one course that's got 8 corners.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an E shape.
Oh, wow.
There's a little bit of a hill on the other rectangle shape, the typical 4-corner one. Like kind of like I don't know if it's on the straight stretch on the backside or whether it's in the shorter between corners. So yeah, and I think there's slight elevation on the 8-corner course too.
What are numbers like?
I haven't looked at them.
Last time you looked,
I haven't. When I looked, there was like I think like you said 9. I think the biggest group's usually the 4s. I think they had like double figures there, but it's been 2 weeks when I did research on that.
So
I don't know.
And I know it's going to turn around. I mean, this is a race that's being promoted well. It is in a good area and things like that. What is it about roadies primarily? This waiting to the last minute registration thing. Why is this something that happens? You think of, I don't know, you think of a triathlon, you think of Fondo, you think of, I mean, even with our 24-hour race, we had people committed as far back as January.
Yeah.
Why is it that predominantly in these road events this happens? Why do people do this to themselves? I'm going to hit a button just to make sure. No. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
I don't know. I think that's a really interesting thing that I've also noticed, because I don't know if you just mentioned this before, but yeah, with RC3, the numbers almost doubled.
Yeah.
In that closing week.
Like the last, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've talked to people about how, they set their schedules out throughout the summer, at the beginning of spring, and like that schedule is set. I mean, we talked to Sam and David and how they have weddings and other events going on this weekend, and that's just been like set in stone. And I like very, very much get that. But I don't know. I think registering for that week before might be like, oh, this dropped out, maybe I can do it now. But that's, I don't know. I feel like I need to register for my events a few weeks at least in advance. I registered for this last month. And I feel like that was just enough time to mentally prepare myself. But also financially, I know that registration prices also go up the closer things get.
Do road events do that, though?
Well, RC3 did that.
They did.
And
they did a pricing tier.
Yes.
Okay.
And so did our local criteria. They also changed their pricing as
later
time got close.
Thought.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to phase roadies.
Well, I will say that, let's be honest, roadies are the ones that have the most expensive bike. Gravel bikes cost a lot less and mountain bikes cost a lot less. So realistically, we are spending the most on our stupid gear.
That's the key word.
Yeah. So
it just blows me away that, and especially when, an event and a promoter is probably sitting up at night thinking about this stuff. Oh my God, we have 9 people in our 1s, 2s, pros, or whatever it is. And I've got the permits, I've got volunteers, I've got shirts, I've got fencing, I've got rentals, I've got radios, I've got all this kind of stuff, timing that I have to pay for. And I'm not saying that promoters are all in this to make a huge profit,
but they got to make.
They got to clear. They got to clear.
Yeah.
And you sitting at home going, we'll see. Maybe I'll register on Thursday. When's the deadline? Hi David. But that whole thing is just I really don't understand the concept of that.
Yeah, as in promotion for the EPO, obviously I have a finger on the pulse, and also the director reached out to you. So it wasn't really on my radar unless you're really searching. So maybe that's part of it, but I would think people on the west side, the population would be a lot more,
especially through club to club, and
just to explain this type of race, it is kind of set up like Tulsa Tough a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's an omnium. You can do all 3 if you do 1-2. So they have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then the other lesser categories are an omnium for Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So I mean, what a great deal. The prices it's not the price. It's not that. So as it stands now, the 2-3s for their omnium, there is 10 entries.
And that'll
7,
probably quadruple at least in the next couple of weeks. But the behavior.
So they have a total for Friday, Saturday, Sunday omniums, 40 entries.
40 riders
for all categories. And then 32 for that says Thursday, Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then it says Omnium Saturday and Sunday 32. So Friday's race, 1 entry. So those are probably people outside of doing
Okay.
the Omnium.
Do we believe this is still about family obligations, or is just road cycling not that popular? I've been podcasting about a sport that's been dying a slow, painful death since 1979.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, racing is not, and we've gone through this quite a few times, like gravel. You know, I was talking to Stu, who's on our team, who's 71 years old. And anyway, I was talking to him, and I said, I don't get it. Like Grand Fondos, people paying $175, $200 for riding, and there's not much other than, it's like the ride, to me, it's the same quality ride that we did Sunday with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
You know? And I just don't want to spend money that way. There's something different for me personally. So when I pin on a number, it doesn't matter if it's a local race or something. It takes me to a different level. There's something invested in me when it's classified as a bike race as opposed to a fun ride.
Really?
You know?
Okay.
But that's where people want to go, because I think it becomes judgment day when you do a bike race. If you suck, everybody's going to see you.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people who race fondos. And I think that competitive fondos are a thing.
No, I wouldn't deny that.
Yeah. But I also think that, and I've said before, the fear of entering a bike race and getting dropped and your day is over is powerful. Mm-hmm. Why would I pay money to get dropped and have a blue shirt tell me my day's over, especially a crit or something like that?
I mean, I also think about it too, that I think that to put together a season of road racing mentally is kind of, it can be tough, because I think that you have to stay competitively, like, put in a specific mindset for quite a while. I mean, we went from April all the way to mid-June, and that was like, I mean, and I tried to stay on the series points the entire time, and that was like mentally, I had to always show up on Thursday ready to go. And that can be kind of something that you have to train yourself for a little bit. And then also going to a race that we're going to in a couple of weeks is also a bit of a mental strain. It's like you're nervous because it's not the same type of race. You're not going out and you're not running a 5K. Mm-hmm. You're showing up and you're wanting to do well, and putting that bit of pressure on yourself to say, I want to do well, I think is a lot, and it's not for everybody sometimes.
I think he's got a point. I think, that people usually, I'm going to do this Grand Fondo. So they just, their whole time they're training for that one event. Road cycling is all year. You have to be, like you said, you have to be on top of your game. You can't slip. You can't relax. And that's great for, 16 to 25-year-olds when you're not married, no obligation, somebody's paying your way, that type of thing. But when you're married and stuff, it's like I just can't personally do that. I mean, even a big race every month would be stretching it for me. And that's my take on it. I don't know, getting back to, doing a Grand Fondo, I've done a couple of them, and I don't get even nearly as keyed up as even a Tuesday night race or a training race. Training race, there is another level. I mean, I don't know how you feel. Do you get more nervous, or the same amount of nerves start at a Grand Fondo or a gravel as you do a road race?
No.
And that indicates something to me. Well, and I think that's a general rule.
In some cases, I think it has to do with the fact that in a training race or a local race, or even some of the, like the stuff we're doing in a couple of weeks, your fate is not in your hands. Mm-hmm. It very heavily depends on the other people in the event and how strong they are and how fast they are. And you're worried about them being super fast and leaving you behind. I'm speaking for a friend. But in a Grand Fondo, it is me against the course. And you know what's funny, Roger? Hi, Dream.
Okay, yeah.
He and I were, and we've had this conversation before, and we also brought it up a couple of weeks ago, and he brought it up really well. He says the concept of being a bike racer or being a triathlete in his sense is very odd when you meet people who say, you know, water cooler conversations where they're saying, hey, I finished an Ironman. Everybody looks at that person and goes, holy shit, you are unbelievable. You finished an Ironman. Roger could look at somebody and say, I can finish an Olympic distance course faster than 5% of the people in this country in my age group. And they're like going, well, how far is it?
Yeah.
That's a wild statistic,
though.
That that's crazy.
He said, you know, he says if you take somebody who says I run marathons, then they'll get praise. If you say somebody I run 5Ks, they won't get the praise. But if you're the fastest 5K runner on the West Coast, you still won't get the praise around the water cooler that somebody who does because they finished a marathon
with an 11-minute, you know.
Yeah.
Per mile.
Yeah.
You finished it.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Which is,
That's unbelievable.
It
yeah.
is,
And
this
I don't want to belittle what these people are doing, but it's very interesting, especially culturally right now with what we're seeing. You know, it's like going, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, well, I'm a bike racer. Oh, wow. What'd you do? I did this race called the Criterium. Oh, how far was it?
Yeah.
Well, it was 45 minutes. Oh, that doesn't sound very bad.
Yeah, I could do that.
Well, it was 45 minutes at 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Was it straight? No. And you can't, they won't understand it. But if I say I did a 150-mile gravel fondo with 10,000 feet of climbing, their jaw's going to hit the floor and they're going to buy you lunch.
Yeah.
So it's such an interesting dynamic that we're staring down the barrel of. And gravel especially is in this trend right now where everything is harder, longer, hillier, and more technical. And the trend keeps going that way. And I really hope that the pendulum swings a little bit the other direction and we start to understand the beauty of, especially because road races are becoming hard to achieve legally, logistically, that we enter a future where circuit gravel races exist, where gravel road based criteriums almost exist. And I know Paul's like glossing over, but I think
I'm sorry. I wasn't listening.
But this could be something that could be a form of competitive bicycle racing that doesn't require somebody to spend 7 hours on a Saturday, you know, and then just destroying themselves. Yes, the challenge is there, and that's I think what people are into right now. I mean,
well, and I've heard this too from some of the retired guys that you know, pros that came back, Stetna and Ian Boswell and stuff. Yeah. They have like 3 events that they have to do.
Yeah.
And
they'll probably do the 7 or something like that.
Yeah, and some of them, like all their contracts to do is like the key ones or whatever. Yeah. And that's all they have to do. Yeah. And then they're done.
Yeah.
Where road racing is, well, crap. Who's going to Mason Lake? Well, that's the first week in March.
Yeah.
You know, we drive 7 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours over there to do. You know, they're fun.
Yeah.
But then, you know, people from our side of the state are like, Jesus, I've spent more time driving than I did racing.
Yeah.
I will say, go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, there's a guy that, who I've been watching on YouTube recently, but he also competes in a lot of these gravel races. His name's Alexei Vermeulen. And I recently watched one of his videos where he did US Pro Nationals, and it's like on the road, and it's really cool to see somebody do both like that and take both of them very, very seriously. I mean, he's in the Grand Prix, but he's also out here racing with the highest level pros on the road. So I think it's cool when we see people do both.
Yeah. We need another John Tomac.
Because then it shows the legitimacy of the sport too. It shows that it's not just all retired pros. Like we have in our soccer here in America. It's all just MLS is just where people go to retire. It's good to see that our gravel scene is not just the old guys coming back.
Yeah. And there are some people who are sticking around who don't go to race pro in Europe because they know that they can do some amazing things here on the gravel scene.
Keegan Swenson.
Yeah. Thank you for. I was leaning pretty hard that way. So I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting layout, and I think that cycling needs to. I don't know if reinvent itself is something, but I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, no, I just reflect like having my grandsons come, exposing people. If you Jackson and I watched the footage of Tulsa Tough, you would not say what we're saying right now.
No, that's true. Yeah, you're
crazy.
good. You got a good point.
Yeah. And look at Turtle Bloom. I think you would almost have to push to, Tulsa Tough's been around for a while. We're going to have to be patient. It's not going to be overnight.
Yeah.
But consistency and having that spot on the calendar and putting on a good word gets out.
Yeah.
This is a great, and then more and more people, and it gets more competitive, and then you got crowds, and then.
That's boom. A good point. That's a very good point. I will say this though. I guarantee that what Lachlan Morton does on YouTube probably gets more views than everything else EF does on their cycling channel
for road. Yeah, I bet.
I mean, and then I think that's an angle, in terms of bringing stuff to the masses where we don't have a GCN Plus anymore, where we don't have easy access to watching bike races. Is not happening on networks. I think YouTube's going to be our savior, and I think Unbound has to figure that out. God, they have to figure that out. Yeah, it's a 200-mile race, and it sounds boring.
But so is Milan-San Remo.
Yeah, if you cover the last 70 miles of Unbound, people will watch.
Yeah, I watched the coverage on that, whatever I found on YouTube, and it's kind of hard to sort out because Lachlan Morton in the sprint were coming across people who were that takes away a lot of the.
They did figure that out a little bit more this year, where they had at least 2 different finishing shoots.
But that's not the same. When you're winding up for, we'll use Milan-San Remo. You can watch, the Cipressa, the Poggio to the finish. And there's probably about 45 minutes of action. But here, you don't. If you're not following it, you're like going, "What? I thought they were in the lead. Who's that?" And then they're, there's
blown
just people
scattered.
So,
and that's because the shorter distances are finishing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how do you do that?
Well,
you run them down a different road? No. Because those people paid their money.
Yep. And I take away the spirit of gravel.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you run them the day before? No. Do you run them the same day? Yeah. God, that's okay.
So
many questions.
That's what kind of hurts the television a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try news, and my computer's been wonky, so hopefully my new news bumper is going to play. News! I'm going to tweak that, but I thought it was so much more fun than the other one that was so serious. News brought to us by friends at Scratch Labs. Be sure to try the cucumber mint. Is that what it is, cucumber mint?
No, cucumber.
What is it? Lime.
Yeah.
And salted margarita just in time for the summer. I'm going to try the salted margarita, but I'm not going to try it on my bike. We have a link all set for you on our homepage. The Tour de Suisse is our looking glass top story this week. A lot to come out of last weekend's Tour of Switzerland. Amazing show of force by UAE's Adam Yates as well as João Almeida, taking the top 2 spots and multiple stages along the way. Biggest thing to look forward to is right now being handed to in the lap of Tadej Pogačar. Each of those 2 riders being scheduled to be in support of his quest for the Giro Tour double. I guess my main thing I'm going to ask you guys during the news segments is thoughts.
Yeah, This is a crazy team that they're bringing to the Tour this year. I mean, we have those 2. Not to also forget we have Marc Soler, Tim Wellens, and then at the back of that you have the reigning Giro champion, Tadej Pogačar. Yeah. It's going to be a really, really good team for them this year. So I think we're going to see what Jumbo can bring, but it's going to be really hard for a recovering Jonas. But it's also Jonas Vingegaard, so he could come out with unbelievable form. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it was interesting before the big crash and everything. Everybody's like, this is going to be the best. But everybody's had, even Tade just finished the Giro. So everybody's been taken down a notch.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens if everybody is able to show up. So, yeah, it's still fun. Have you guys watched Unchained yet?
I saw the first episode last night.
I will be on episode 3 now.
Okay.
I was going to go on a tangent, but you're doing the news. So
No, my wife actually looked at me last night. She said, do you want to watch another episode? And I went, no, I want to go to bed. I can't emotionally handle it. She's like, what do you mean emotionally? I'm like, this is important to me. Yes, I know who's going to win the race, and I know the end of the movie. Technically,
but it's how they present it.
Yeah,
and I think it's way better. I think production wise
than last year.
Yeah, I agree.
And storylines and narratives are way better.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know about you, but there's a couple of situations I'm like, oh yeah, that happened, and then you see the backstory behind it. It's like, oh, that's not how it looked.
No, I have really learned to not like a very individual writer. I'm not going to say who it is, but
does it start with a J and end with a P?
No.
First name J,
no, it doesn't.
second name P?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, really?
It's somebody else.
Okay.
You'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to spoil it for me?
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, they peel back the curtain on a couple of people. You're kind of like,
You're like, wow, he sucks to be around.
And I know who you're talking about. And he's made another comment before the tour.
It isn't
this
a
year?
specific writer with
kind of on the same line
with a slightly bleached section of hair in the front of his head.
No.
Okay.
He's not even.
Because Wow was
really
thrown
in too much.
Fit. He was pissed when he finished.
That's called good editing.
I think. I think it was pretty mad. I mean, I was mad.
Yeah.
It made me feel validated. I'm not gonna lie. It made me feel good about myself.
And then we saw this photo a couple weeks ago of that Visma Lease bike released of a arm-in-arm group, including Jonas and Wout and Christophe Laporte and things like that. And there's a lot of speculation going. Are these guys on the Tour de France team? And thoughts?
Most likely, I would think.
Yeah. I'd be surprised. I think that Wout's. I mean, if he's racing, what did he race a couple of weeks ago? He raced.
I did Norway.
Yeah.
Tour of Norway.
I mean, if he's racing, we don't know how Jonas is. Nobody does. And then Christophe,
which is brilliantly played.
Yeah. And then Christophe Laporte has had a shitty year, really shitty year. So let's see what that team looks like.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. You know, they have. For backup, who are they going to have? They have Sepp Kuss. They have Matteo Jorgensen.
I think they're going to turn to him a lot this year.
But
what's that?
I think they're going to turn to Matteo a lot.
Yeah.
But are they going to take him? Are they going to save him for the Vuelta? What? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because do you need both Matteo and do you need a backup for Jonas? Is that their backup for Jonas, or is he going to be?
The thing about Matteo is too, you're also looking at, this isn't a guy who's never ridden a 3-week Grand Tour. I mean, he has done many. I mean, with Movistar, he was in the Tour last year, and he was there in the 3rd week. So this isn't something that is just like, we'll just try it with you, kid.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if Matteo goes because of Sepp winning a Grand Tour last year. I wonder if they'll make him kind of the Plan B man. But then they also have to think about who's Jonas's main domestique the entire time. Because if Sepp's just pouring it on the entire week, is he really going to be up to fight someone like Tade in a head-to-head? That's going to be interesting.
That's stepping it up.
And Visma Lease bike needs. This is a redemption. Their season has been nothing but crap.
Yeah.
Other than Matteo. He's the only one.
Yeah.
Paris-Nice and then
second
this.
and
Dauphiné.
Yeah.
How about the I don't know, I don't want to say resurgence, but we've been seeing some Ineos Grenadier riders actually returning to where they could. And I last week I didn't know that Geraint Thomas was riding the Tour, but he as a supporting rider, what an amazing road captain. Egan Bernal pulled on 4th in the Tour de Suisse. Tom Pidcock moved up to 6th in the Tour de Suisse. Paul, I can already see this smart-ass grin on your face. And, thinking, by the way, I'd love to have a specific show about how many riders over history have been told because they did well in a one-week stage race that they should be a Grand Tour rider and focus on that. I don't think Tom Pidcock should step anywhere near a Grand Tour attempt. I think Tom Pidcock has his gift. It is in kicking ass in mountain bike. It
you might want to ask
classics.
him about that.
I'm spouting my water cooler opinions. But and to see Egan Bernal in a Tour de France, even contesting for a stage, would be a wonderful thing in my opinion. But does Ineos have any signs of the past that we could potentially see, or is it just, even a podium?
Yeah. I mean, on paper, it's another one of those teams that you look at and you're like, wow, that actually is a lot better than you think it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, Carlos Rodriguez is probably going to be their leader.
Yeah.
But then, you have some riders that are coming into pretty good form. I mean, Egan Bernal is doing better than I think we'd all thought he would. Tom Pidcock did really well in his recent 1 week. He blew the doors off of Nino Schurter in Nove Mesto.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's coming into some really strong form as well.
Nino Schurter's a mountain biker. In case you didn't know, Paul.
Yeah, I saw the headlines.
Yeah,
Mountain biker.
I turned the
legendary
page real quick.
9-time
Yeah.
world champion.
Swiss.
I think he's going to have a gold medal in this. But anyway.
If Tom Pidcock races, he won't. But yeah, I think it's an interesting team. I don't know if they are quite at the same level as the rest. But it's a damn good set of riders.
I find it interesting. I think with Ineos, sometimes it's more not so much personnel as their tactics are like back from the Sky days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They get up front and they dictate the pace and stuff. People aren't racing like that
That's
anymore.
not happening.
No.
Yeah.
And that's why they disappeared, is because people found the chink in the armor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, which is a beautiful thing. That was boring racing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was so boring racing. This attacking style is, again, we're living in a Camelot of bike racing.
Mm-hmm.
Also involved this past week of racing was none other than Mark Cavendish, who didn't feature in any sprints, but appears to be gaining form, at least according to his PR machine. And I'm not bashing Cav. The guy's getting united for his charity work, which is absolutely cool. So thoughts on his attempt to win the record? One stage, just one.
Well, I guess we will turn to maybe the person that knows the most about the parkour. Are there very many sprint stages this year?
Not too many. And in order to get some of them, you're going to have to lift your fat ass over the top of the hill.
That's right.
I'm right here.
But he did do like Tour of Switzerland, which is hilly.
Yeah.
So this year the Astana kid is black.
Slimming.
Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable.
But so it'll be a challenge. All he needs is one, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And I won't spoil the alert. Do a spoil alert here, but he makes a comment on the very last scene of Unchained.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Of the last episode? You've seen the whole thing?
Yeah, I binged it. What else?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I was like your wife. Oh,
Yeah.
I can do one more.
One more. Yeah.
It's only 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very tough. I think that there is a Alpecin de Koenig team that is going to want all of them. And I think it's going to be tough for Cav to beat that. When you just look at the build of a sprinter anymore, it is so different than what it used to be. Back in the days of, Cav's still around, but back in the days when he was really dominating, Peter Sagan, they're these big, beefy, muscular guys that are rolling down this. Andre Greipel, just huge guys. Yeah. And now you see like a Jasper Philipsen who's not built that way anymore. Mm-hmm. They're a lot, and I'm not like trying to shame them in their body type at all, but
I'm sure they're offended.
I know. Well, I just want to put that out there. But they're built just very differently now. They're a lot slimmer. They just have that raw power out of somewhere. But yeah, getting over those climbs, and that's why I bring that up. Getting over those climbs is going to be a very interesting thing for a rider like Cav.
Well, that's a perfect way to bring this to this kind of a mini topic I had tonight. I was reading recently from Cycling News specifically, just recently published an article compiling a list of the top men's sprinters of all time. We can't, if I was going to include men's and women's sprinter of all time, it would definitely, Marianne Vos would just automatically just walk home with the accolades because of what she's done. And while some might be a bit too old for Jackson, I figured we could add or subtract. They compiled a list of the top sprinters, male sprinters. And this is, I guess, all time. And so should I just read their names and then we could add or subtract or anything like that? This is in no particular order. Okay. Mark Cavendish, Peter Sagan, Eric Zabel, Freddie Mertens, Jackson's.
I don't know that name.
Freddie Mertens is, he's old school.
Jamaluddin
Abdujaparov.
Yeah.
Jackson might not know that one. Sean Kelly, Robbie McEwen, Oscar Freire, Alessandro Patacchi, and Marcel Kittel. That's their list.
No, Mario.
No Cipollini.
Well, he's an asshole, so he doesn't deserve it.
No Mario Cipollini, no Eric Vanderharden, no Michael Matthews, no Caleb Ewan, no Jasper Philipsen, no Davis Finney even.
Caleb
that's
Ewing,
old school.
I would have never.
No.
Eric Vanderharden was a good sprinter. And I would argue, even though he had great results, I considered Sagan more of a classic sprinter. If it was an all-out drag race, Cavendish for sure, Pataki.
Straight pure sprinters.
Yeah, when they light it up, they're hitting speeds like pushing 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. And that's, Peter Sagan's ability, which was so unbelievable, was his ability, like you're saying, Jackson, to handle the mountains, to hit some of those intermediate sprints along the way and still be there later in the tour.
He was the most consistent power man.
Yeah. And I think his forte was he never had really lead-out trains, but he had such great bike handling skill. He was in position. He put himself exactly where he wanted, and that's part of the game.
Yeah.
In a sprint, if you're just a little bit off or box or any hesitation, you're done. And the last stage of the Tour de France, you could see that on the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah.
Jasper Philipsen, I think he was not in the best position.
And that is such an important part of the sprinter that to take into account is how they do their sprinting. Sagan was a floater. Mario Cipollini without a lead-out train wouldn't have been there. Yeah. What would Cav have been?
He does both
properly. He does. He in his later years he started to figure out.
Even before when he was young, when he was with Telecom.
Yeah,
I've seen that guy pick his way through because they weren't really set up for trains so much back then because they had Zabel, right? Yeah. And Zabel was another one he could do trains or also pick through. To me, that's a true sprinter. I'd say Cavendish, Eric Zabel, even Robbie McEwen. That guy could put himself in the right spot at all. He knew what wheel at what terrain and everything. That's a classic
Oscar Freire.
Oscar Freire was back-to-back world champion. So. But he not as much as like when you started like stacking up wins, like Eric Zabel was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Cavendish without a doubt. I keep picturing this one thing, watching head-on picture, and I see Cavendish with no lead out, just going. He's just weaving
from wheel to wheel.
Yeah, from one side of the road to the next, and then when he accelerates, everybody looks like they hit the brakes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in his prime. There's like no stopping him. Marcel Kittel.
Not on. Oh, he is. He's
I
on
was
this.
surprised to hear about that one because of his
short.
Yeah, his such short career. But he was a monster.
Rocket.
Yeah, I remember when you would see him at the front, it was like there's nobody else who's gonna beat him. I'm trying to think of other people though. In the current era, I don't think that there's anybody that would go to that list. I mean, I think give Jonathan Milan a few years, and I think that he will approach that. I think give him the right
Philipsen. I think.
I think.
No, go. Yes.
I think his biggest problem is going to be himself.
Yeah.
But Kittel was the only person Cavendish said he didn't know if he could beat in a sprint. That's the only person who's like he was just pure power.
Yeah.
And he was not even when they sprinted side by side, Cavendish had at least a foot lower.
Yeah.
And it was just pure power. He just and Kittle came out he was a time trialist, not even a sprinter.
That's crazy.
And then he became
That was where I once thought, no, what?
Was Greipel on there?
Nope.
Yeah, Greipel had, oh gosh.
Torhushoft was a good
he was
sprinter
more of a kind of like
Johan Museeuw started as a sprinter.
Mm-hmm. I think they get buried in classic races too.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if you had to, what a horrible thing. I mean, anytime you do a list, you're going to get bashed by
Caleb
people.
Ewing, no.
I thought Caleb was going to be the next Mark Cavendish. The way his style, the way his, that pocket rocket kind of a design, and how he's just super low on his bars. I watch him sprint, and I'm going, oh, and on top of it, you're an arrogant prick, which is what I think is a part of the gig.
Yeah.
You have to be that. You have to be a douche to think you're going to win World Cup sprints.
Yeah. Also built like a shit brick house.
Yeah. But then you see a guy like Wout, who is a completely different design, and he can still handle those sprints.
He's built like a Jasper Phillips as well. Very much.
Really?
I think
see
so.
Phillipsen. I don't have their stats in front of me, but Phillipsen seems so much shorter.
Well, I mean, like body build, they're not that thick.
A little more lean.
Yeah. When you look at like
Groenewegen.
Yeah, Groenewegen
Thick.
is built like that. Yeah.
Thick.
When you see those guys, their legs are the size of your midsection.
like track
They're
riders.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamaldine Abdou-Japarov.
Abdou-Japarov. Yeah. The most dangerous sprinter ever to straddle the top two.
If anybody didn't know who they are, just go to. This is how bad he was. I think he was in the green jersey in 1990 Tour de France in the Champs-Élysées. People were complaining. I mean, he would seriously cut in front of everybody in the middle of a sprint. He was all over the road, and he'd have his head down. He was just like, but he was fast. But his crash on the Champs-Élysées, look it up on YouTube.
God, crashing on that surface.
Freaking brutal.
It's
nasty. And
how they all walked away from that.
Well, he had a broken collarbone and concussion, and in order to keep the green jersey, he carried his bike across the line, and they took him to the hospital.
Jesus Christ.
And when you see he's knocked out, passed out, sparked out, cold, sliding on the cobblestones, his body's just like,
oh my God.
My wife and I, on our way to our honeymoon, all I brought with me for 2 weeks of our honeymoon. I know people are thinking, why did you bring something to read? I brought something to read, and all I brought was a copy of Velo News back in the day, the solid copies of Velo News. And while we're driving to the airport, we had to drive to Seattle to go to take our flight, and my wife's sitting beside me with the Velo News open, and she's trying to pronounce names. And it took us half of the drive for her to kind of dial in Jamaldine Abdou-Japarov, Jamolidine is the first name, and then Abdou-Japarov. I mean, I remember, I was like, you get it, honey. It's okay. And I was not being egotistical because it took me months because we had just read back then, you know, we didn't have Bob Roll
correcting us.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some of the Eritrean names that are also
Yeah.
pretty intense. I'm trying to. I just had it on the tip of my tongue, but Gebrek Zabie. That's one of them. Now, Emmanuel Gebrek Zabie.
How many times you guys have to correct me on Tade's name?
That was a tough one for us
That
to
was a
learn
while
too.
for me to figure it out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Pogacar
is how we first started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Pogacar.
Oh, I say Pogacar.
Pogacar.
Or
Pogacar?
Yeah.
He gotcha?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or Jonas Vingegaard.
I say Vingegaard.
We learned that last year.
Yeah.
I know, but I refuse. I say Vingegaard.
It's technically not Mads Pedersen. It's Mads Pedersen.
Oh, when I had Cavendish's lead out man. Michael Markov.
Uh-huh.
I said, "Welcome to the show, Michael Markov," and he's just like, "Fine."
Yeah.
Even though it's
Markov.
Mikhail Markov. Yeah, it's something even more sounds like that. I think he's so used to hearing it that he doesn't give a shit anymore. So
Stupid American.
Yeah. So okay, we are. If you had to pick a top three of all time, your personal list of top 3 favorite sprinters, who would they be? In no particular order. See, for example, I would go with Sean Kelly because of his versatility. He could sprint in so many different situations, and he was always up there. I would go with Mario Cipollini because he was a pure sprinter. Pure, get me an open line of sight with 300 meters to go, and the game is over. And I would probably put Eric Zabel in there because of his versatility and his palmares. So those are my 3.
Mine's going to be a lot different because I don't really know that.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. That what will make it so interesting is because of the different generational times. So,
I would say Cav for sure, just with what he can do. I think I'm going to say Peter Sagan because I think he took that role and revolutionized it for what it is. Yeah. I think we now see what Peter Sagan created. And I'm going to say for the future, I think we're going to see Wout van Aert become like that serial Grand Tour green jersey winner just over and over and over.
God, I hope so. I hope the higher powers don't turn him into you could win a stage race.
Yeah.
Come on, Wout. It's fun to win stage races. It's like I'm making millions of dollars and winning. Anyway, Paul?
Now I didn't see much of his racing, but Freddie Mertens, he won 13 stages in the same
in one
Vuelta.
tour, right?
Yeah, Vuelta.
Yeah.
So and he won the Vuelta on top of that, and it wasn't as hilly as it is back. I mean now.
Yeah,
so I'm assuming most of that, and most of his wins were in sprints. But I would have to say Cavendish is number 1 without a doubt. Just the different styles and everything, and his longevity.
Yeah.
That it's amazing that he's still in there mixing it up, even if he doesn't win this season. I mean, wow.
Yeah. I didn't pick him. That's funny. I didn't pick him probably because of and I'm not thinking of pure sprinters. I was thinking of classics. I was thinking of overall palmares. But so anyway.
And I would say probably the other one that's impressed me is Zabel. Zabel was one of those, like, I've seen him clip out. He pulled out of his pedals and got snapped back in. Didn't win, but like moved up. And I'm like, how in the world I mean, we're at full cry, and it's like, geez, that guy could accelerate. And what did he have? 4 Milan-San Remos?
Yeah.
So,
and that was when Milan-San Remo, they thought it's become a sprinter's race. And obviously that dynamic has shifted again, although Philipsen won it this last year, so it's like, where are we?
It changed. That's the uniqueness of that silly little race.
Yeah, the silly little race. I love it. So should we get to the bumpers times of the evening, which means we've I almost belittled your segments.
Well, when you have so many,
usually I got to get through all the stuff, and David needs to be coddled, and I come up with something medical and all that kind of stuff. But tonight's segments, here we go. So does anybody give a shit who goes first?
Dealer's choice.
Yeah, dealer's choice.
Well, Jackson's theme comes up first with, in terms of style points, with the one and only Jackson Bolger.
Yeah. So I talked about an interesting aspect of our sport in terms of like analyzing your body metrics and things like that, and whether it matters or not that it matters, but if you choose to pay attention to it closely.
You have changed my life, by the way. No, I'm serious. I have stopped paying attention to my sleep metrics so much. I look at them, but I don't worry about them anymore.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting part of what is out there now for us.
Yeah.
And another item I have out there, and I don't know if it's necessarily to do with style, but it's something that we do put on our bodies, is recovery items and recovery wear. I think it's a really interesting aspect and market of endurance sport. This just doesn't go along with cyclists. It goes with triathletes. It goes with runners. It goes with swimmers, all those different types. And I think that it's really interesting that some brands really advertise that they make things for recovery. I mean, compression socks, I think everybody here knows that compression socks like traditionally have been used for recovery. I think that's pretty normal. But now we also have like recovery shoes. So like Hoka, a running shoe brand, makes recovery slides, very like specific shoes you wear after events to recover your muscles.
OOFOS is another one of those.
Yeah.
OOFOS. I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, but
no, exactly. That's another brand. I mean Birkenstocks, because they are so formed to your feet. They claim that they are now like the perfect shoe to recover in. Crocs did it for a little while there.
So what's the theory behind that?
Well, and that's what I was so interested in as well. But I think it's just your body's not taking the hard, like, pounding from walking and everything. It's something softer. I think when it comes to Birkenstock, that's the one I was very interested in about, because it doesn't really provide a cushioning.
Mm-hmm.
It's more something that is formed well to your foot, so your foot's not having to like use more muscles than it needs to. I don't know. I think it's kind of a gimmick.
Yeah.
In some ways, I think just stay off your feet is really what every endurance athlete's going to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We should almost change your segment to call bullshit points or something like that, because because you're good at that. Because I think about it, my cycling shoes, I have a footbed in my cycling shoes that is custom fit to my foot.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that putting on a different shoe that is also custom fit to my footbed is going to suddenly dramatically change things. I understand cushioning.
Yeah.
And not to break a rhythm, but I was gonna on your point of why are you in your shoes for recovery?
Yeah.
So George Hincapie is known for saying, "Why stand when you can sit? Why sit when you can lay down?"
Time. Yeah.
That's how if you want to recover, and you don't wear shoes doing that.
Eddie Merckx is right behind my head, sitting down before a time trial starts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's what I think of all the time. Before a race, I don't think of, let's put on the most comfortable shoes. Mind you, when I do finish a race, I do tend to go more towards something that would be supportive, or something that would be more cushioning for me to walk on, so I don't feel so exhausted when I get back. But I just think recovery is such a different thing, in that it's more of like a nutrition based activity, or like what you put
massage
in. Hydration is something as simple as that. But like, what is your recovery process? I know it's not necessarily a style point, but do you do something specifically when you when you're done with a hard effort, or when you finish off a race? Do you have like something specifically that you reach for?
I'm out of it, but I do scratch recovery.
Yeah.
So
we'll get you some.
Yeah, I gotta get some. And beer.
And beer,
yeah.
You know what? It's so funny you brought this up, because you guys were over here for dinner the other night, and you see pro riders at the end of races taking these tiny little flasks of a beverage that they're throwing back. Sure. And the speculation is that it's tart cherry juice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A concentrated tart cherry juice. And so I bought some the other day.
Do you have gout?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
it's good for gout.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, the recovery. If you're my wife's side of the family, you have to put a "the" in front of it. It's the gout.
You got the gout.
Yeah.
I got the gout.
Are you gonna run the Bloomsday?
The Bloomsday.
Yeah.
I'm checking on the Facebooks. But I today when I got home, I had a glass of tart cherry juice. Mm-hmm. By the way, it's delicious. So I don't care if it helps or not. It's wonderful, and but I've heard about that. I absolutely do scratch recovery. But that's kind of it. I mean, I don't have like the ice legs or the compression legs or things like that. Yeah. Sam has a set of those, and he swears by them. I don't know the difference. So
something that I really found has been very helpful for me recently. I have one of those massage guns.
Yeah,
it helps kind of like flush out a lot of that lactic acid. That's something I've really been using. I do use the scratch recovery when I am not when a meal is not readily available.
Like right after.
Yeah. Like today, for instance, after I finished my ride, I made myself something like pretty like quickly afterwards, so I didn't need that, replacement. But it's just such an interesting process that so many people use different products for. I mean, like I said, compression socks, increasing blood flow is the idea there.
And how many of them are entertainment? As you said earlier.
No, exactly.
The mental element of it.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of the science behind like the UFOs or whatever that brand's called, and the Hoka ones in particular. Birkenstocks and Crocs, I feel like, are kind of like, oh, this is a sponsorship
Let's
deal.
hop on this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But those are like labeled as recovery shoes.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to hear the science behind why those specifically are like the recovery shoe to put on. It's an interesting market, and I think that we are a very marketable crowd when it comes to any aspect of our life.
100%. I put on my Birkenstocks after races, number one, because they're easy to put on, and number two, because I live in the Pacific Northwest, I can wear socks with them.
I am right now.
Are they wool?
Right. Mm-hmm. No.
No.
But you're wearing Birks too?
Yeah. Well, I have my Boston ones on.
Oh.
My clog, like.
Whoa.
Mules.
Yeah, mules, that's exactly what they are.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought, okay. I thought you were making this shit up.
No.
You're above me. Again. Paul!
Yeah.
Changing times
Yeah.
with one only Paul
Well,
Maine.
we might be changing that to stubborn or stupid.
Yes. Stubborn and stupid, because that came out and I was like, everybody responded to it.
Yeah.
Stubborn, but I'd have to comment on that, and this is your segment, so changing times is yours.
Well,
stubborn or stupid is, I think, when we just do some kind of a, Jane, you ignorant slut.
Yeah. And I might trip upon some kind of statement or claim that you could say, well, that's stubborn and stupid.
Yes, exactly. What do you got for us, man?
Yeah. Well, I was sitting here on a ride Sunday. We're talking to, I talked to Greg. I've mentioned before that I hadn't ridden for a while, and he listens to the show. And I was talking about like the entertainment. We're talking again, kind of saddling up to what your segment was, and getting all that. And I said, the funny thing is, everybody knows my history. I don't, since I lost my first Avocet, I don't read computers. It was all this data was just inundating me. So, and he said, I had Whoop for 6 months, and he said, I got in that same thing. It's just like it was a stress point for me.
Yep.
And I said, I bought a new pair of wheels that have a power tap in it. And that's basically what it is entertainment, because everybody, says, how many watts, that type of thing. And I used it for that for several rides. But one thing that was weird, that of all those rides, my average RPM was 71 on all my rides.
You want to know what mine was on Sunday?
What's that?
It was 71.
Let me see.
What?
We are twin flames.
Yeah. And you spin a little. Well, you are now. I've noticed you used to spin a lot more than you do now.
Yeah, I grind up.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah.
But then
But
that kind of launched this whole thing. Is I really like the equipment we have now, and I don't want to go back to steel frames and box rims and stuff. But competition, you really didn't get an advantage. I mean, most of the bikes cost almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
You just, somebody had a Scapini, and that was a rare Italian bike, or somebody had a Clanago. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A Davidson, this is a handmade in Seattle, or, a Fuso by Dave Moulton, and blah, 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 blah. And that was your bragging point. But they're basically, typically two.
Reynolds, Tange,
Columbus. And Columbus.
Yeah,
and then later True Temper. Did you ever build with True Temper?
I had a Lemoore with True Temper. Yeah.
I didn't have any luck on those, but
No,
anyway.
I didn't either. It broke.
But I mean, your wheels too. Everybody ran. You got to 32 spoke. That was your race wheel. And you had training wheels, and it was tubular clincher. That now it's just like this part is just everything's inundated with all these. You got to have these tires with this type of thing and this width, and we find this pendulum. I watched how wide tires have gone in road racing. It's coming back a little bit. It's never going to be 23 again. That's gone.
Damn it.
No.
So you're telling me I got to throw them away.
No, yeah. Use them up. Use them for training. But it kind of like makes it a little not as interesting. For me, it wasn't like, the reason you throw these things in the race, it's like, man, that guy had really nice set of wheels, and I can't afford that. I mean, it really created this
He beat
difference.
me because of his wheels.
Yeah, I mean, you sign up when you first started as a Cat 4, and you got these guys that are, professionals that are starting to bike race in their 20s, 30s, or whatever. And when I was like 21, I could barely even pay for a license, and I'd save money to go to races. I had a same set of wheels that I trained and raced on.
Yeah.
And these guys are, have these, GL 280s and 330s and stuff like that. And, and trained on MA 40s, and stuff. I'm just throwing these things out there. People are like,
it's going way over many people's heads. But if you're with us,
I
welcome,
had
brother.
Exactly. Yeah. I had to build my own wheels because it was like $40 a wheel for somebody to build it. So I taught myself how to build. I made some crappy wheels at first.
I did too. I've got some crappy wheels that I
built riding along, all of a sudden all the spokes get loose and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was part of the experience, and it's unfortunate. I think a lot of people kind of missed. That was, at least for me, maybe a lot of people would not like what I went through, but you just learn. You sleep on couches. I ate, just that starving cyclist. I ate in the morning. I had oatmeal, and then I had a baked potato with butter and salt and pepper, and a banana in between.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then noodles with butter and garlic and pepper, and that's all I could do for like a year. But I raced every 4 days a week, and that's all gone. It's unfortunate.
And mid-ride race food was either a banana or
Fig Newtons for me.
Oh, Fig Newtons? Mm-hmm. Or I was going to say, are those shitty Nature Valley granola bars that would
dry up your mouth.
If you're breathing really hard, they would be like inhaling gravel. Yeah. But you know what? And this is, sorry, Jackson, we're capitalizing the old man part of the show, but I miss the times when the gear didn't make the difference. Especially when it comes to time trials, where we are now in a time where you're going to race time trial districts, and I won't go because there's no point in my going, because I don't have a TT bike. I don't have a TT helmet. I don't have any of that kind of stuff, and it would be futile for me to go. It'd be a joke. I would, and so I miss those times where the equipment didn't make the difference. And that's gone. And that's never going to come back. We're never going to suddenly even the playing field. The haves are going to have, and the have-nots are going to have not. That's the world we live in, and it will always be that. But there are ways in which, my dad always says, it's all in the legs. When I was a kid and I'd look at another kid with a different bike or a different set of wheels or something like that. He said, Pat, it's all in the legs. And he was right back then. But,
and the other factor or other point I was going to bring up was that you had to learn, doing this. You didn't have data to tell you your position. You just, you had to work and find out the hard way. You lived and died on learning, and I got lower and lower because then I realized, it takes less effort, and that's where I designed my position. That was just through experimental. Now, there's juniors in this country that are in wind tunnels. They're getting everything. That's probably some of the reason why we have younger pros starting off. Is because all this technology, and that was. Reflectively at the time, I just wanted to get to the point where I was the best I could be. But it's taken a long time. But that journey, I think, is kind of disappearing with all the data. That's the unfortunate thing.
We've got a young guy in our community right now who we ride with regularly, who is strong as shit, but so upright. Torso is like, hey guys, what's going? He's like a meerkat riding down the road, and I'm not gonna mention his name because I don't want to embarrass him. But I was just like going, if somebody taught that kid to bend his elbows, he would be, 150 watts faster.
Yeah. Well, and there's something interesting as well about what I even learned is that give yourself time, and give yourself the grace. Because give someone like that 10 years, and oh my God, you're gonna be strong as hell. I remember being there and always being in the pack, but then wondering why this is more difficult or why I'm having troubles because I just didn't know. And nowadays it's you learn through the hardships, which is what another thing why I think road racing has a tough time is that you have to kind of take a lot of it on the chin.
It's that learning curve.
Yeah,
Is so mean.
But
so mean.
When you learn and when you finally get a lot of the stuff, it's like, wow, this sport is cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
I like hearing that. I really like hearing that. I love hearing that. Okay, so we're come to the final K of the night, you guys, and I think I could play this I could play the outro, and it's quick enough of a response. So the final K, the final question of the night is, gentlemen, would you rather? And notice I'm on a would you rather kick. Right. Would you rather always be too hot on a ride, or always be too cold? Why do you prefer the answer you gave, Jackson?
I would way rather be too hot. I despise the cold. I just mentally, I can't get over the cold.
Paul?
Definitely hot.
You would rather be too hot?
Easy. I can ride in 100-degree weather as long as I have water.
You're the guy. You're the guy who's always like start cold, and it blows me away
because I'm gonna get warmer.
Oh
yeah.
I overdress for everything.
I always look at the temperature. It's always based on the temperature about halfway through the ride.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I mean, you saw me last weekend. I had a vest. I had a underlayer. I had all these different things on because I was too cold.
You saw me today. I had too much clothing on.
Yeah.
But I would rather be too warm. I would rather sweat
than be
bold,
too cold. Start cold.
Oh, I hate being cold.
It's hard.
I hate, especially because we live on a hill and you go downhill and it's like everything sucks. There we go. This brings us to the end of another Packfiller podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, everybody. It truly helps. And drop us a review on your favorite podcasting platform because that helps, believe it or not. So other than that, I guess, gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Catch you next week.
Yep.